weeks ago, I spoke about the subject of failure. And of course, failure has got an intimate relationship with success. It's not only the natural opposite, but failure and success, as we learned a few weeks ago, kind of dance around each other. And often failure itself is a result of fear of success. A couple of people wrote to me and said, why don't we talk about success? So today I want to talk about success. And by that I mean, firstly, finding the right kind of thing to do in life, the right kind of job. We might call that purpose, and purpose is also something I've spoken about on the show before. But it's also the fact of our everyday life that we've got to wake up every morning and go out there and do this job again and again, day after day. And often we feel disheartened, we feel that we're on a treadmill, we feel, of course, that we work because we have to work, rather than because of any other reason, like we might actually want to do the thing that we're doing every day. So in talking about success today, we're also going to talk a little bit about how to find that job, that thing, which will provide you with the right kind of success that you need, which will provide you with the success that you seek. Of course, success is not incredibly likely if you don't really like what you do. The great poet Maya Angelou said, success is liking yourself, liking what you do, and liking how you do it. And so without that relationship with what you do, it's very unlikely that you're actually going to feel successful. It is possible to succeed, perhaps in some kind of objective term or the world's idea of what success is. It is possible to succeed at a job you don't really like. And I guess plenty of people have done that. But what is success if it's not some kind of fulfillment in the process? In order to succeed, we need to do something that is of ourselves, that is about ourselves, liking ourselves and liking what we do. So the first question to really ask yourself in terms of the quest for success is, why do you do what you do? What is the reason you do that particular job? There are often reasons like, well, because I didn't know what to do after school, so I kind of fell into it. Or my folks said I need to get a job that at least makes money, so I canned the idea of being a singer and I did a BCom instead. And now I've got this well-paid job in a company. It lets me live the lifestyle I want. And besides, it's good for my CV. So eventually, when I'm in a position to do what I really want to do or get a better job, it's good for my CV. And the American billionaire Warren Buffett famously said, taking jobs to build up your CV is like saving up sex for old age. You've got to do it and enjoy it while you can, because you never know what's going to happen next, and you might not even be able to do it when you finally get there. So you are busy living this life. You've got to do the things that satisfy you and give you that sense of fulfillment and allow you to like yourself and like your life. So when you ask yourself the question, why am I doing this job? If your answer has any of those external reasons, and if in fact or in your heart you know, I'm not doing it because I love it, if you aren't doing it because you love it, you're probably in the wrong job. You might have the answer that says, yeah, well, I love acting, but you can't make money acting. So I'll do this job that, is a 9 to 5 that pays the bills instead. I'm not doing it because I love it. Well, obviously everyone's got their own criteria, but in the end you're going to have to decide, is it worth doing something I don't love and maybe saving up for the day when I finally can, or hoping that I can, or doing that on Saturdays and the other 5 days during the week I'm doing this job? You've got to look at your life as a whole and say, where does it make sense that I spend only 10 or 15% doing what I love as opposed to the rest of the time? Or where does it make sense that I spend 10 or 20 or 30 years doing what I have to do to get to the thing I love? So in order to find the things you love, a lot of us don't know what it is, and a lot of us believe that we're supposed to have some special purpose in life, something that makes things worthwhile. Often that's about other people, I must help them in some way. But we've got to ask, what is our own purpose? Every creature on this planet could ask, what is our own purpose? And the answer to the question of what is my purpose is really, well, how was I born? What was I born as? A rose's purpose is to look beautiful and smell beautiful and feed certain creatures, insects, for their making of their food for their offspring, and so on. And a rose knows no other purpose and has no other purpose, and it's born to do that. And every single thing on this planet is essentially born to do the thing that it is. And that must be its purpose. The purpose of everything is presumably to do exactly what it's doing. Otherwise, why is it there? Those plants and animals are not thinking about it and seeking for it and asking questions or watching shows or visiting specialists and finding out what is my purpose. They all just get on with being what they are. So the first question to really ask yourself is, what am I? And the way really to ask that question is to say, what am I naturally good at? What are my natural strengths? What was I born able to do? What was I born loving to do? What was it that I used to do for hours in my room when my parents couldn't find me and they couldn't understand? How could I spend hours doing that? I know you're going to say computer games, and that doesn't mean you have to go and be a game programmer. You've got to ask yourself, what is it about the games that I loved? Was it the challenge? Was it the excitement? Was it the story? Whatever the case may be. Was it the art? But get to your core self and say, what am I naturally good at? What am I just naturally do if I left to my own devices? And what was I mysteriously born good at? Because that's the amazing thing, that people who are good at art, good at music, or good at solving problems, and all of those things are just things that somehow are born into us. Free gift. We're born with our purpose, built in from the day that we're born. And no one's purpose is better than anyone else's. Someone might be born naturally strong, and they can use that purpose to do highly paid jobs that no one else wants to do, as long as they love it. So, the first thing then is, what am I naturally good at? And the second question, in the line of as long as they love it, is to ask yourself, what do I care about the most? What really matters to you the most? A really good way to look at that is to ask yourself, what are my values built around? Do I like human things? Do I like living things? Do I like things that make a difference to other people? Who and what are the things that I care about? Very often, looking at the things that you care about most is a great clue to understanding how your value system works. Without your value system being behind you, you're never going to believe in what you do. You're never going to believe that it's worth it. You might have to take the Machiavellian approach of saying the end is worth the means. But if the end is at the end of my life when I'm older and I can finally have that sex I've been saving up, well then the question is it really worth the means? Not when we're talking about something as fundamental as you've got to get up and do it every day. So if you're not loving it, and it's not something you naturally do very well, then it's a legitimate question to say, well, why on earth are you doing it, if that's the case? Our lives are often our best guide themselves to what we do well and to how we do that well. So it's a good idea to look at things that you've done in your life, especially things that you found that you really enjoyed. And similar to that is really to ask yourself, what really floats my boat? What inspires me? What excites me and makes me feel happy or passionate about it? I'm not going down the road of find your passions, Because finding your passions, it's like if you don't know where they are, you're not going to find them now. We've all got passions built into us. The problem is that we're led to believe that those passions should be our profession, or that they should be something that's worthwhile in everyone else's value system. Remember, our own value system is the only one that counts. Your passion might be that you get a kick out of spending a lot of time cutting things up into small, neat pieces, or coloring them in small, neat ways. It doesn't matter what it is. It doesn't have to be grand. It doesn't have to be special. It doesn't have to be valuable or important to other people. It's your passion. So ask yourself what inspires you, and allow it to be small, trivial, insignificant stuff. Because from understanding what presses that button for you, you'll understand what you care about the most, what your values are really all about. And you can start thinking, how does that come into my life? Sometimes you can also take a roundabout approach and say, what do I think is impossible? What is really impossible that I would really love to do? And, I never would be able to because it's impossible. But we often will discover that things that we're not doing are because we believe they're impossible. And pretty much everything is impossible until the first person does it. So you can't know that anything's impossible, and in fact, it's not likely that it's actually impossible. So maybe you need to redefine what's possible. At least you need to let go of the idea of things are automatically impossible. And by letting go of the idea of the impossible and realizing, well, it's not impossible until someone does it. Well, it's only impossible until someone does it the first time. So why wouldn't that be me? Catch yourself saying things like, I can't, and I don't know how, and it's impossible, because those are really all ways that we build in beliefs that then prevent us from doing anything. People who achieve extraordinary things don't believe in the blockages, and then they do them. It's not unlike children, who can often do amazing things that other people can't because they've never been told, you can't do that. So have a look at some of those impossibles, and maybe think about the can't that might have led up to it. Why can't you do that? Who told you you can't do that? What circumstances in your life said to you, you can't go down that road? And some of that might be challenging. I can't do that because I haven't got enough money. But then you discover, well, that at least means it's not impossible. Because in theory, with the right amount of money, that would be possible. Maybe I just need to focus on finding the money, or getting the scholarship, or whatever the case may be, and discovering that you can let go of that word impossible. There is almost never a reason to be using it. And rather look at what are the can'ts, and the don't, and the won't, and those negatives that lead me to believe that something is impossible. And by focusing on those, you'll break them down and unlock the impossible. It's those things together that work to define your version of success. Because you have to have some sense of what means success as far as you're concerned. If you don't know what you're looking for, you're never going to find it. So you must have some sense of what it is that you're looking for. And by asking yourself those questions, you will start finding it. In doing things that you think can't be done, or that you thought can't be done, or that would be nice, but a great place to start is by seeking out people who can do that. In fact, surrounding yourself with people who can do that. It's like if you go to the gym on your own. If you go to the gym on your own, you'll do a certain amount of stuff, and you'll have an inner dialogue going along with you that comments and criticizes and everything like that. But get a gym buddy, and get a couple of gym buddies, go in a group, and suddenly you find the level of the intensity of what you're doing just increases dramatically. So and you seem to be able to do more difficult things for longer, with, of course, better results, because all of them are doing it. Other people inspire us in that way. It works in a group fashion. It works very consciously. If you're with a bunch of people cycling, you'll cycle faster if they're cycling faster. If you're cycling on your own, you might not go there. It's exactly the same process. The people who you surround yourself with influence you most strongly. It's why our parents try and tell us to be choosy about our friends. It has an enormous impact on us. The kind of people we see around us, the kind of things they're saying and doing, and the ways that they inspire us or push our buttons or do any of those kind of things. The more you have people who have success of the nature that works for you, the more easily you will achieve that success. So, what do we need to do for ourselves in order to achieve that success? We've defined now what our kind of ideal job is, what it is that we really want to do. How do we go about succeeding? Because just by doing the right thing for yourself doesn't automatically mean that you're going to succeed at it, although you'll go a long way down that road to succeed. So that is the starting point. But what is the secret of success itself? Well, the first thing is really that you have to be curious and open about life. If you go by your predefinition of, even if you found this great answer to all those questions I was asking, even if you found, okay, I know what the ideal job for me is, but then if you fix that and say, okay, this is it, these are its parameters, it's got to be like that, once you start trying to do it, you're going to get very frustrated. It won't fit into those parameters. Plus, stuff happens. New stuff comes up. All sorts of unexpected changes happen. So, success is associated with an open and curious attitude towards life. With that open and curious attitude, you will increase your likelihood of success because it makes you more flexible and adaptable. Flexibility and adaptability are also characteristics of successful people because you can't know everything and be in control of everything. And so by being able to adapt to changing situations, you're able to enhance your success. By being open and curious about situations that might not just be changing, that you just might not have thought of, but put them into your awareness. Don't just react to change. Flexibility is great, but it's like, okay, well, when stuff happens, I'll deal with it, but I can still carry on my path. That's still quite a narrow vision. So we need to have that open path and be able to respond to changes that aren't compulsory changes, but that make us realize I can tune my direction. I can tune what I'm doing. I can tweak it. And like that, success enhances. So that also means a willingness to learn. Just like the flexibility, we must be willing to do new things, try new things, and learn new ways. If we believe what we're doing is always right, what we're doing is always the right way to do it, any of those things stand in the way of success. And openness means a willingness to learn new ways and to learn what was wrong about the ways that I was doing it. It kind of relates to responsibility. We need to locate the sense of responsibility inside ourselves. It's called an internal locus of control. So we need to understand that the results of everything you do come from you. The success comes from you and the failure comes from you. The opportunities come from you and the problems come from you. As long as you're locating control outside of yourself, you're getting into blame and victimhood. And those things directly stand in the way of success. So success is enhanced when you understand I am responsible for my own life. And that's for the better and for the worse. It does mean that we need to focus on what we are really in control of. And many of the things that you think stand in the way of your success are actually simply things that you're not in control of. So on the one hand, it's identifying what you're not in control of, and then on the other hand, locating the locus of control inside yourself. And realizing for the things that I am in control of, it's all me. And even external successes and failures, I must have done something that led to that. Even if I don't know what it is, I'll own that. Because if I own it, I can change it. If I own it, I can replace it. I can own something else as well. once we are on a path of success, we have to put a lot of energy into it. No matter how perfect it is, no matter how great it is for you, we still need to be vigilant on ourselves. We can't get complacent and think, oh, well, I know that I'm doing the thing that I love, so I can just assume that I'm going to succeed. It's not good enough. Everything takes really hard work. So we need to work hard, be conscientious, be self-disciplined, and be dependable. It's really simple. Nothing comes from nothing, no matter how perfectly motivated you are, how perfectly defined your success is. So you really need to be willing to do what it takes to achieve it. Success is two things. It's knowing what you are and what you want, and doing and being willing to do what it takes, and it's working hard to get there. And other aspects of self-discipline even include money. I mean, you have to get down to basics and say, what helps make successful people is they usually are careful about money. Money reflects other resources, and money reflects worth and values, self-worth and values. So being vigilant about money and being disciplined and careful about the use of money relates to a much greater understanding of values and value systems. And you'll remember when I was saying about how to find the perfect job, is that you've got to have strong values. We need to ask ourselves what intentions we have for our life and what goals we have related to the success. At the same time, we need to focus on the present. Focusing on the present is also the only place where your locus of control works. We cannot control the past, it's been there, done that, too late, and we cannot control the future because it remains an unknown quantity even to astrologers. It can only be known a certain amount. So, both the past and the future tend to provoke worry and anxiety because when worrying about the past, we worry about consequences for things that have happened or what they thought of me, what I did, all of those kind of things that can no longer be changed. So that's useless worry. And worrying about the future is anxiety because we don't know what's going to happen. So it's concern about what may or may not happen. And anything might happen, including the likelihood of none of the things you're actually worrying about, because how do you know? So all of that means the only place where we actually have control is in the present. Focusing on the present is a key to success, although goals and intentions are still required. If we have goals and intentions, but we also have flexibility, that allows us to still succeed even though we're focusing on the present alone. Because as we move into the future with a destination of intentions and goals in mind, we can adapt in order to go there, instead of assuming the future is going to be a certain way or even requiring the future to be a certain way. You've got to really catch yourself on that one and say, yeah, well, I'll succeed because if I do this, then that will happen, that will happen, and that will happen, and then I'll be able to succeed. And it's not going to work because you're talking about the future and you're talking about a number of things that you're not in control of. Remember, only what you're in control of is going to help you get there. Only you being the locus of control is going to help you get there. So getting back to focusing on the present, adapting, but knowing what your intention is and your intention for your life, even if it's simple, and it should be simple. I just want to be happy. I just want to get to the end of the day not thinking, I'm exhausted and I can't believe I've got to do this again tomorrow. Even if your intention is just, I want to be able to get home, maybe tired, but still able to smile at my loved ones and enjoy myself and not dread work tomorrow, but look forward to it because it's going to take me one step closer to my ultimate goals and intentions, even if I don't know what those steps are going to involve because I don't know the future. We all have an inner critic, and that inner critic comes up with negative thoughts of, I can't do that, you can't, it won't work, they don't believe you, you don't have the qualifications. All of those negative things feed into that critical thing that stops us. It says, well, you can't, you won't, it's impossible. Remember, if you've redefined what's possible and what's impossible, you learn you need to shut down the inner critic. But bottom line is, you need to be vigilant. Find yourself using words like can't and don't to yourself, and notice how you criticize yourself, and learn to put that aside. That is something you are in control of, but it's often based on supposition, imagination, or the past. Even when your critic is basing it on past experience, you've learnt it's not the past that matters, it's the present. By focusing on the present, by being flexible and adaptable, by being focused on your intention and clearing your thoughts from the critic, and mostly by focusing on what you can change and what you can control, while eliminating what you can't, you will achieve the success that you seek. Join me next week at the usual time when I'll be looking ahead at the month of April. See you then.